Hello and welcome. You're listening to the It's All in the Cards podcast, a horror fiction podcast where all questions are welcome, but you may not like the answers. Some material may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Damien's at the foot of my bed, watching over me almost like a guardian. Too bad I know better. He's like my one and only cat growing up as a kid. I made it so mean that it wouldn't let me out of bed. I remember calling for my mom to come save me from its attacks on my legs and feet when I tried to get up. Except Damien doesn't aim for my legs and feet. And instead of claws, he always has a blade that glows from the heat he's fed into it. I fling the covers off myself and swing my feet to the floor. Can we skip the torture scene this morning? I don't have to look up to know that in a blink of an eye, he's now in front of me, lording over me as I lean forward on my knees, trying to prepare myself not only for his assault, but the assault of a typical day. The heat of his blade warms my hands and knees, but I'm not afraid of it as much. I know what pain he's trying to cause now. First it was in my dreams, now he's trying to pester me in real life. The most he can manage in my waking hours are jump scares. I'm done letting him torture me. But then I feel another presence, and as I rise to my feet to meet Damien face to face, a different face greets me.
Did you really think it would just go away, Jade? Like me?
Shit. Eric's face isn't the scruffy, easygoing countenance he had in life. It's matted with blood and stitches. His limbs dangle like puppets at his side, his weight held on just one leg as the other is horribly contorted. Patches of skin and muscle hang as degloved debris from his chest and face. My memory tells me these were the areas where Cass was stitched to him. I can't keep the question out of my mind. Where is she? I knew the second I thought the question, though, that I'd get an answer. Arms wrap around me, wet and hot as if her wounds have been freshly opened.
Don't you miss us, Jade?
I take a deep breath, fear pushing panic forward, my side itching like crazy. But if I let myself panic, I may never recover. I swallow it down, only press a hand to my side and calm the fear into disgust. Not since you've been given a face only a mother could love. Something wet and thick lands on my shoulder as Cass presses her mouth against my ear. I clench my fist and fling my power out at them. Their gruesome manifestations disapparate like smoke clearing, but something remains. Another force clings to my power like I stepped in gum. I know this disgusting force. I pull my power back into myself and it snaps. Cass, Eric, and Damien's laughter echoes through the room as they completely disappear with the sticky force that brought them here to begin with. Once the dread creeps out of my shoulders, I let myself fall back on my bed. I look down, knowing exactly where the two-faced man is on the floors beneath me. You sticky son of a bitch.
It's All in the Cards, Episode 3, The Jester and the Just.
I get dressed and ready for the day, but before I open the shop, I make a trip down to the basement. There's no way it's a coincidence that Damien, and now Cass and Eric, started tormenting me after the two-faced man arrived. It took a little while, but maybe he's been wearing down some of my sealing spells enough to bug me with the dead. If that's the case, I need to either charge the original spell or add more. I plan to find out what needs done, but I also need to have another little chat with him.
Well, look what the cat dragged in.
Hello, Pest. You been entertaining yourself down here?
Well, since you've asked, I've been meaning to find something to do when Mr. Giggles isn't here to entertain me. Although he does delight me by bringing in his kills to eat in front of me every once in a while.
I throw my magic out, not at Two-Faced Man, but into my spells to assess the damage. Mr. Giggles is good about sharing, but he knows you've been a bad boy, and it seems like you've been getting up to things.
Why, Jade, Whatever do you mean?
You know exactly what I mean.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. What's in it for me?
You keep flashing the dead in front of me, I may change my mind about eating you. The spells seem intact. Maybe he's using his power in the other realm to mess with me in this one, instead of just pulling energy through the spells. Not sure what else it could be.
Come now, Jade. I think we can both agree we are beyond that at this point.
I don't know. I haven't had a good demon dessert in a while. I wonder if you'll be bitter like the soldier demons I've had. Or do you think your high-ranking blood is more savory or sweet, like an evil eclair, some putrid pie? I raise one hand toward him and draw on some of his energy, taking just a sip. I'm good at controlling how much I take, but I haven't mastered filtering the demon's energy from Steven. If I drink one down, I drink the other down. It's something I've been meaning to work on, but with so few demonic possessions and a business to run, who has the time?
Don't you wish you could find out? But I'm sure the real question on your mind is, how is he doing it? You should know the answer, now that you've come to check your precious wards.
I return a smile to his condescending stare. Your master isn't tormenting me just for me to let you go. You're a higher rank, but you're not that special.
Wouldn't you like to know that too? Maybe he knows I can take care of myself. No. Perhaps since I was not able to persuade you to come willingly, he will have you begging to break the seal.
I fight the urge to touch my side, the side of my skin that's been itching like crazy. Initially, I assumed it was reacting to the Two-Faced Man's presence, demonic reaching out to demonic. But if it's not him doing it, it's most likely the devil. Shit. But I'm not giving up Steven. Is there anything I can do to get you to leave this poor man's body? I think making him live with the fact that he killed his husband is punishment enough.
Jade, Jade, Jade. You know what I need you to do. You don't even need my master to do it. Just break that seal yourself, and I will happily leave this body. Though I've already told you, I don't think there's any of him left.
If there's none of him left, then there will be none of you left when I find out your name. Just gotta go check out a book at the library to get it.
Oh, I can't imagine too many human libraries have me on file.
No public libraries, anyway. A very special library that very few have access to.
If only you weren't bluffing. I may be a little nervous by that.
When I come back down here, you'll be begging me not to say your name.
Now that's a twist on a bedroom quote.
Enjoy your time with Mr. Giggles. You don't have much more of it. Though they haven't been tampered with, I recharge my seals anyway. It won't do to have a pissed-off demon running loose. I've let him rot away in my basement for too long. That's what spite gets me, just more trouble. I never learn from it, though. Spite is like an ex who makes promises they can't keep. Pity. Oh well. Time to get the pest out of Steven and out of my basement for good. There are several books scattered across the globe that have a thorough, and not to mention accurate, list of names of demons. I'm sure there may even be some version of it on the internet by now, but that would take me knowing exactly what I'm looking for, or hours and hours running through the search results. There's no point in that. Not when I know of such a collection of names nearby. But where it's stored is not exactly easy to get to. Not without noses snooping in on my business. Maureen wouldn't just let me walk into her collection without knowing why, and I'm not about to tell her I haven't exactly exorcised the demon yet. So the question now is, how do I get it? I could ask Sam to get it, but again, she's as nosy as her grandmother and aunt. Decisions. First step in the plan. Attend tonight's class with the coven. That'll be my excuse for being so close to Maureen's house. But I still gotta figure out exactly how it's going to get me into the house. Hopefully a situation will present itself. If it doesn't, I'll have to resort to breaking in. Like the good old days of learning magic forbidden to me. Roz was on more than one of those late-night B&Es. Funny that she's on the other side of the door now. There's still the issue of my mother. I wonder how long I will have to play nice before they tell me what they know, or what they think they know. I still can't wrap my mind around the idea that she wanted to practice physical necromancy. The bell over the door jingles as Sam walks in, phone pressed to her ear. She sees me behind the counter and mumbles something quickly, then hangs up before the person on the other end can reply. Good morning. You look like you've got a secret.
It's not a secret. Someone from school reached out for help, so I told him to come here for a reading. He should be here soon.
Are you advertising your services now? After that atrocity of a reading? Sam blushes but lifts her chin at me.
I would have gotten the right answer eventually. And yes, I've started letting a select few people know that I'm available for readings if they have a problem that can't be solved by conventional means.
That's a fun way to say supernatural.
Shut up. It's not like I can go around advertising supernatural problem solving. People will think I'm crazy.
She slams her bag on the counter and begins rifling through it, finally pulling out her personal tarot deck. Well, for what it's worth, I already think you're crazy for going out of your way to find people to help.
Your opinion has been noted.
She turns away from me and settles at her table near the window, shuffling her cards. Since she made no mention of me leaving her alone for the reading, I stay where I am, organizing the more delicate items behind the counter. We both look up at the sound of someone entering the store. He's tall and lanky in the way that teenagers are before they fill out, like someone stretched out the child and left them hanging over a rail to dry. His eyes dart around the store before falling onto Sam, and the relief loosens his tense shoulders.
Brady, welcome.
Sam stands and walks over to the boy, gesturing at me as she does so.
This is Jade. She owns the store. She's going to just observe the reading today, if you're comfortable with that, in case she has her own insights into what's going on.
She casts a glance my way, and it feels like a truce of sorts. She may be pushing herself to go out and help people, but her confidence is shot after the last time. She wants a safety net, even if she won't admit it. A small part of me feels bad for making her lose that ground, but she needs to practice more and really think things through in order for her confidence to not be shaken. I'll be busy putting some new inventory into the system, but I'll try to listen in. Brady gives me a jerky nod before following Sam over to her reading area, folding his long legs under the table. Sam intertwines her fingers and places her hands on the table, looking more like a therapist ready to listen than a witch reading tarot.
Well, it's not really for me. It's for my sister, Rayla.
Okay, what's going on with Rayla?
Brady glances backward at me, but I keep my head down, busying myself with a list of inventory that I've already dealt with. He clearly wishes I would leave, but he'll have to get over it. He will probably appreciate my gesture when Sam inevitably tells him the wrong thing.
She's not herself anymore. Not since the mirror game.
Are you an avid country music listener? Join me, Miss Helen, and producer Kyle on the Texas Toast podcast, where we talk with some of country music's biggest stars, like Parker McCollum, Josh Abbott, and Pat Green, as well as my favorite part, new upcoming performers and songwriters like Dylan Gossett and Braxton Keith. We learn all about their journeys into music and what makes them tick, along with never-before-heard stories about the making of their songs. Join us every Tuesday and Friday wherever you get your podcasts, and you might just learn about your new favorite artists.
Oh Lord, what has this kid gotten himself into?
Why don't you start from the beginning? What's the mirror game?
Brady takes a bracing breath before going on.
She found the game online. Rayla has always loved scary things. Halloween is her favorite holiday, and she always made her friends do Bloody Mary at sleepovers. She tried making me do it with them once, but I screamed as soon as she turned the lights off, and she kicked me out of the bathroom. Spooky stuff has always been her thing, and lately she's been going on Reddit to look up games, to talk to ghosts and demons and whatever else there is out there. Creepy stuff. I don't know why she loves it so much, but she's never gone this far with it, so I didn't think it was such a big deal. She found this game, The Jester and the Just, it's called. It's one she could do by herself, but it required a lot of prep, and she needed someone safe on the other side of the door in case things went wrong. She asked me to do it, and since I didn't have to be there for any of the scary parts, I said yes. I helped her prep everything. She picked a night that our parents were out of the house for the weekend, so they would never know what went down. We had to block off the windows in her room, put a fan on for white noise, and set up 2 mirrors in front of where she was supposed to sit. That part was really specific. They had to be facing her, but far enough apart that she could see them both in her periphery, while never looking in them. They were like a wall between her and the door. She had to walk between them to get to the pillow we'd put down for her seat. Then, at exactly 3 a.m., she had to walk into the room with her candle, sit down, and begin the ritual.
What was the ritual? What was she trying to do with the Jester and the Just?
She had to say this rhyme over and over again until spirits showed themselves in the mirrors. The Jester and the Just. In one of you I'll trust. I could hear her through the door for a long time, just repeating herself.
So what is the point of the Jester and the Just? Was she trying to summon a ghost?
She's supposed to ask questions. An entity will show itself in each mirror and answer her. But one will always lie, and one will always be honest. It's up to her to decide whose answer she will believe.
The Jester and the Just. Fitting. What was your job in all of this? Lookout?
Oh, yeah, kind of. I was supposed to stay outside of the room and listen, in case something went wrong. At 4 a.m., on the dot, if she wasn't done yet, I had to yell at her to blow out the candle and end the ritual. If she didn't respond, I had to go in and do it myself.
So what happened?
Brady wipes at his eyes, slumping down in his chair like the weight of the answers pressing on his thin shoulders.
I fell asleep.
Sam lays one hand on top of his as he cries, his breath catching with the force of his sobs. She looks up at me, unsure of what to do, but I just shrug and point at the box of tissues on the windowsill. We still need answers to fix this mess of Rayla's. Sam nods and slides the box toward Brady, whose tears have started to subside enough for him to take a full breath. Once he has cleaned himself up, he goes on.
I'm not making excuses. I know it's all my fault. It was just so late, and I was already tired from setting things up exactly how she wanted. And just listening to her voice through the door as she repeated that rhyme over and over, it was soothing. Before I knew it, it was 4:30 and the house was so quiet. I yelled for her through the door, telling her to blow out the candle and close out the ritual, but there was no response. And when I went in there, everything was black. The candle had already gone out, and she was still sitting there staring at one of the mirrors.
Well, this just got interesting.
Were you able to wake her up?
That's the thing. She's not asleep. Her eyes are open. She can look at stuff. If you tell her to move or hold something, she will. But other than that, it's like she's empty.
Where is she right now? Did you move anything from the ritual?
Brady shakes his head.
I left everything where it was, even her. I turned on the lights for her, but she wasn't moving by herself, so I didn't think she would be in danger. But I have to figure out how to get her back. Our parents are coming home today, and I don't know how to tell them what happened.
We'll figure it out, Brady. Don't worry. The cards will tell us what to do.
I think the cards need to point this kid towards a time machine, but I bite my tongue and let Sam handle it. Sam shuffles her deck, explaining to Brady how this will go.
I'm going to use a connection with a loved one spread to see if we can find her spirit. She might be able to help us figure out how to bring her back to her body.
She lays out a 5-card spread, all face down. I wonder if she does this to be showy, or to show people from the beginning how many cards they will get.
The first card represents the person we are trying to reach.
Sam flips the card over, biting her lip as she sees what's on the face of it.
The Fool? That doesn't sound like Rayla.
The Fool doesn't mean someone who is stupid, and it's not an indictment on her character. It just means someone who is enthusiastic, carefree, maybe a little immature still. Someone who acts before fully thinking through the repercussions.
Yeah, that's her.
Sam nods as she flips over the second card.
This is a message from the person, 10 of Cups. She wants you to know she loves you, and she doesn't blame you for anything that happened.
Brady starts shaking his head.
No. This can't be real. This sounds like goodbye. And it can't be goodbye. How do I know it's really her? You could be making all of this up. You could be lying to me about all of this.
Brady, why would I lie? I want to help you. I want to help bring your sister back to the side, but we need to get through the reading before we can know how to do that. Okay?
He purses his lips, but gestures for her to go on. Sam flips the third card, ready to explain it, but a look of confusion crosses her face at the sight of it. Brady looks down at the card and lets out a hollow laugh.
The Wheel of Fortune? God, Rayla.
Does this card mean something to do?
She knew I wouldn't believe you. She knew I would question if it was really her, and she put this out there so I would know it was.
Does she have this card somewhere in her room?
No, it's the TV show, the stupid game show. Our grandma used to watch us in the summers, because our parents worked during the day. And we would always watch Wheel of Fortune with her. When she passed, I couldn't watch it anymore, but Rayla always invited me to watch with her anyway. She's just like that, you know?
So she's telling you that you can trust me. That's good. I hope the rest of the cards can be this positive.
Sam turns over the 4th card, and even from behind the counter, I can see the grinning skull of death.
Oh my god.
It's not that. The death card doesn't always mean death. And look, this one is reversed. That means instead of symbolizing change, it symbolizes stagnation, a holding pattern.
So Rayla's not dead?
I don't think so. It's not looking good, but it seems more like she's trapped somewhere. And if she's trapped, we can try to get her out. Let's see what the last card suggests.
Sam flips over the final card, a small smile crawling across her face at the sight of it.
The moon. This is all about disillusionment, the darkness magnifying fears and dual choices.
What does that mean? I have a choice to save her or not?
I think it's more than that. You said there were 2 mirrors. I think her spirit is in one of them, and you have to break it to get her out.
Isn't breaking a mirror bad luck?
Sometimes, but mirrors are tricky like that.
Can't I just play it safe and break both?
I decide to step in here. Sam's not off base, but sometimes people want to hear the answer from a person of authority. Since the ritual was never closed out properly, you don't want to risk releasing whatever she had been speaking with into the world. That could cause a whole lot more damage.
How do I know I'm breaking the right one and freeing her?
The weight on his shoulders has doubled at the idea of making this choice. But at least in this case, I know the answer. Didn't you say she was staring at a mirror when you found her? His eyes light up as the realization comes to him.
Yes, she was staring at the one we took from our parents' room. I had to wave my hand in front of her face for like a minute before she would break eye contact with it.
That's the one. She probably slipped up and looked at the spirit in the mirror, and it took her inside. We're lucky it was the Just and not the Jester who took her. Confusion clouds his gaze as he stares up at me.
How do you know that?
Because if it was the Jester, he would have possessed her. I used the drive to Mountainburg to recenter myself after this afternoon's interesting reading. Sam surprised me. Not that I would admit that to her. This reading was a vast improvement over the toaster debacle. I wonder if it's a fluke, but it probably isn't. Sam has been working at her tarot for a while now. She's finally getting it. With her latest attempt to help people, I truly don't know how she thought business cards were going to work, but here we are. I worry about her ability to protect herself. I had hoped Roz would step up and teach her, but this looks like another thing I'm going to have to do myself. After that excitement with that reading, do you think you still have the energy for a shielding lesson? Sam lights up instantly.
Really? Do we have enough time before the coven meeting?
We can fit in a quick intro lesson.
Yes, I'm up for it. Can we start it here? Are there things you need to tell me before we try it?
Have you read up on any grounding techniques?
Yes, it's one of the few things Aunt Roz has worked with me on. She says anytime I'm feeling like I'm going to lose control, to funnel it into the earth.
Do you have enough control to do that?
If I calm down quickly enough to remember to ground. But when my emotions trigger the waves of power, I don't always do it in time.
You have to learn control. Full control, before you will be able to build effective shields. A thought occurs to me. Maybe this is the situation I needed to present itself. Do you know how many pledges also don't have a handle on their energy?
Why don't you talk to each other and find out for yourself?
Well, look at you, Miss Thing.
You know I'm right. If you're really going to be the high priestess of this coven, you've got to know your people.
Spare the lecture, Teach. I plan on doing that tonight.
Really?
I mean, I gotta do something so they're not afraid of me after last time, right?
Actually, more than half the class thinks you were a badass for walking through the circle like that. But the full coven members are not impressed. They're still wary of you.
Thanks for the insight.
You deserve to know the minds of your people.
You're sounding more and more like your grandmother every day.
Can we get back to the lesson now?
Well, if you already know how to ground yourself, the rest can wait until we get there and find out what everyone else knows.
Are you going to give the whole class a lesson?
Guess you'll have to wait and see. Her phone vibrates and ends our conversation. Fine by me. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what to do tonight. If Maureen's collection is still where it used to be, I may be able to go through the window, assuming she doesn't have the room warded. I know the old bat used to bless the room every month with all that bad energy and the objects she stored in there, but I can't remember if she warded it. Maybe I can test those waters when we get there. We pull up to Maureen's house, and I figure out the angle. Sam's still on her phone, texting and walking as she heads for the house. She stops in her tracks when she realizes I'm heading that way as well.
What are you doing?
I told you I was going to play nice tonight. Might as well start here.
Let's see how long you can keep it up. My bet is until Roz's first pop-off.
I bet until Maureen's.
Deal.
We get to the porch, and I stop. Actually, I'm not going to take the chance of them ruining my mood before the night even starts. I'll head to the circle and be civil to whoever is there.
Maybe Aunt Roz was telling the truth.
About what?
That Grandma warded the house against you.
That catches my attention. Well, now I've got to know. If that old bat did it, she would have encased the porch as well, so let's see. I don't feel any energy trying to keep me out, but the energy of basic protections against evil tingles against my skin. The sail on my side burns a little more intensely than usual, but I ignore it. I plant my foot on the first step of her porch. Nothing happens.
Well, that was anticlimactic. Go ahead, just don't bite anyone until I get there.
I'll do my best. She trudges up the porch and makes her way in. I turn and walk toward the woods, but stay close to the side of the house, knowing which window peers into Maureen's collection room. When we were kids, she'd say it was the black room. It was the only room in the house that had no curtains. She wanted the light of God to shine in as much as it could. As I walk by it, another flavor of energy hits my radar. She's got extra shields on it. Maybe, as I walk by innocently, she'll understand it's just natural curiosity that makes me reach out, not real intent on anything in there. I craft my response to her future inquiry in my head, while I find out if it's an alarm ward or just another ward to keep the bad energy in check. My power reaches like an invisible hand to the room, and I get a shock once it hits the barrier. Damn, an alarm spell. I wonder if it's just around the window or also around the door. I fight the urge to pick up my pace and not be caught, but the back door swings open and Roz steps out as I'm clearing the side of the house.
Should have known it was you.
Hey, I feel a strange energy other than your home ward. I'm gonna poke at it. That's just facts.
Sounds about right. You never could just mind your own business.
I remember plenty of nights of you attempting to break into that particular room with me. I thought we were the main reason that alarm spell was put on it. Does Maureen have intruders that often? Or does she have more to hide now?
Ask her yourself and find out.
You're starting to sound like Sam.
Where do you think she got it from? Speaking of Sam, she just informed us that you had an interest in showing the class how to shield. Is she right, or just hopeful?
Well, I would never assume to lead a class, but if we have time tonight, I might as well contribute, right?
Are you finally taking this seriously? Or are you just lulling us into a sense of security long enough to end us all?
I guess you'll have to wait and see. See you at the circle. I head to the woods. When the door shuts behind me, but no footsteps follow, I assume Roz has retreated back into the house. I think she's blowing smoke about the alarm spell around the room, but it won't matter. I'll have to figure out the best way around it before the end of the night. It's a peaceful walk through the Ozark forest. I never stop being amazed at the peace the woods can instill in my bones. Bird songs fill the air along with the trampling of leaves as squirrels and chipmunks scurry about. Bigger things linger in these woods, but I've never feared them. The only thing I ever feared is further north, and sealed away. That entity that Aunt Beatty so lovingly reminded me about slumbers imprisoned there. As if I could ever really forget. As if I don't blame that bitch for her part in my mother's death. But she is way more than I can ever handle by myself. At least for the foreseeable future. If there ever was an endgame, it would be to swallow that bitch whole. Giggles echo through the woods before I see the circle. Some of the neophytes must already be there. I remember days when it was Roz, Rachel, Alexis, and a few others that were daughters of witches in the circle, learning the ways of their mothers like the dutiful children we were. Also turning into the rebellious teenagers we were fated to be, laughing and carrying on in our own circles deeper in these woods, discussing blood magic in tandem with crushes at school we joked of making love spells for. I would go back and burn it all, if it meant my mother could have lived. But how would she have lived? Would she be practicing the necromancy Roz brought up at the last meeting? I can't imagine my mother animating corpses. She couldn't stomach gory horror movies. No way she would create her own nightmarish army. The voices lower as I approach. Silence fills the air as I break through the trees. I stop and look back at the staring faces. Some of them are still smiling. Some faces are blank. Probably the faces of those afraid of me, but not wanting to show it. Yes, I can taste the fear. But more than that is the curiosity hanging thick in the air like cotton candy in my face. Hello, little ones. Some greet me as I continue forward. None of the people I know are here yet, and I just realized how much of a buffer they have been for me as several younger members whisper wildly at each other while approaching me. I recognize Hannah from the first class, the one who asked about the cane. She's been the most vocally inquisitive, but has yet to come to talk to me. Looks like today that's changing. As I'm settling down in my corner of the circle, her friends nudge her forward to me.
Hi, Jade. You probably know this already, but I'm Hannah, and this is Justice and Piper. We just wanted to formally introduce ourselves. I know everyone's kind of left you alone with the circumstances, but we just wanted you to know that you're not alone here.
There's no reason for formalities, Hannah. You can just ask me.
Ask you what?
You tell me. You and your friends are dying to know something, so cut the small talk and ask. She doesn't hesitate to take me up on my offer.
Is it true you're an energy vampire? Is that why your energy flares a lot when you're upset? I mean, not that you're upset a lot at the circle, it's just that most of your power seems to be less focused. More like free energy. Oh, that's not to say you aren't good at controlling it.
Hannah, slow down before you have a stroke. And quit apologizing for stating facts. Sometimes people need to be reminded of the truth. I am an energy vampire, and usually I do have better control than what I've shown in the circle.
How is an energy vampire's abilities better or different than a witch working with energy?
Why don't we save some of these basic questions for when class starts? I think Maureen was entertaining letting me help out today. I didn't think it was possible for her to perk up anymore, but she did at that.
You're gonna help Maureen run class today?
I stand up and start to pace Hannah. Her friends back up to make room for my path. What's the real question on your mind? Or has my willingness to talk just let loose your floodgates of curiosity? She turns to me and I stop pacing around her.
Is it true you killed one of the sisters that betrayed the coven?
I give her my best blank face, trying to tread carefully here. Her eyes hold no malice or judgment, only a yearning for knowledge. She might be more dangerous than the others if not carefully taught. I like you so far, Hannah, and I find your bluntness refreshing, so let me ask you a question. The coven member who told you this, do you trust them? She seems to think about this for a minute.
The first one, no. Not the way she spoke of you. She seems to not want you in charge. But others that have earned my trust said the same, that you gave swift justice to the sister who murdered others.
I look past Hannah to her friends. And what about you, Bunch? Do you want the answer as well?
You've already given us the answer, haven't you? By dodging?
Oh, I'll deflect for a bit, but one thing I don't do is tell bold-faced lies. You ask me a question, I'll answer it. But you may not like the answer. Before I give it, though, I have one more question. You already suspect it's true. Would you still follow me if I'm nominated High Priestess? All three exchange glances, but it's Justice that finally answers.
Can you show us real magic?
I smile. Well, there's 3 neophytes on my side. I'm afraid my answer must be a boring one. Even though others higher in the coven are breaking the rules, I won't since my nomination is on the line. Until you are formally sworn into the coven as a sister, we cannot divulge coven politics to you. And though I was technically not in the coven the night we found the betrayers, it is still coven business. And I know exactly which ones are old enough and foolish enough to think their rank, not only in the coven but in the community, would save them from punishment for this breaking of rules. And none of them have ever stepped foot in this circle during the neophyte class. I may just have to pay them a visit. Hannah deflates, but Justice smiles back at me. She thinks she knows. She has no idea.
Can we go back to the energy vampire bit?
Yes, Jade. Do tell us more about energy transference.
This from Roz as she steps out of the trees. She's been there for a while, not quiet at all in her approach. I don't presume to lead the circle yet, Roz. These girls were just curious.
Oh, come now, Jade. These young witches have been dying to hear from you. We can delay one of the lessons for you to share one on energy.
I knew Maureen wouldn't be far behind her daughter, but I didn't hear her coming. That old bat still has some tricks up her sleeves. Of course, they wouldn't make her interim high priestess solely on nepotism. The nepotism is just an added bonus. Sam trails out next, wiping her hands on her skirt. She must have fallen to get that much dirt on her hands. Unless she was doing something else.
Should we close the circle first?
It looks like everyone is here now, so might as well.
Maureen signals to the class to stand and prepare to close the circle. She comes to stand beside me as everyone gets in position.
I'm so relieved it was just you prodding at the Black Room's wards. You'd be surprised what comes to my house in the Veil of Night seeking that knowledge. They want it back so we can't use it against them.
I can imagine.
Like our demon, for example, that Margot and Alexis had been sacrificing to. I'm sure he would love his name out of our hands.
I fight once again to keep my face blank, but there's no sense in lying to her. She knows I still have Stephen. I'm not sure how, but she does. You always were a subtle one.
It's not surprising that you didn't exercise him, whether for noble or personal causes. But I'm not giving you the name to hold dominion over him. You are strong enough to destroy him without it.
Even if I'm trying to save Stephen, you won't give it to me.
I would happily help you exorcise him with the name, but not by yourself. That is too much temptation for you to not use him as...
Like Margot and Alexis did? Don't insult me by comparing me to those two.
Then don't act like them. Destroy the demon without the name and all is well. You have until the end of classes. If you haven't by then, I will inform the Coven before they vote.
You know I don't do ultimatums, Maureen.
Well, then, I guess you better figure something else out. It looks like everyone is ready to begin. Jade, shall we?
I smile at Maureen, and I know it's filled with bitterness. I fight hard to shake the fury off as I turn to face the circle. Perfect love and perfect trust, my ass. Well, well. Sounds like Jade has an obstacle in her way in getting rid of the two-faced man. I wonder how she'll take care of it. This episode of It's All in the Cards podcast was written by Ashley McAnelly and Morgan Valko. Theme music was composed by ThaArsonist and performed by Veronica Stonebreaker. Featuring the voice talents of Ashley McAnelly, Scott Thomas, Jessica McEvoy, Nichole Goodnight, Elie Hirschman, S.H. Cooper, Journey Brown-Saintel, Shawn Yates, and Erin Lillis. If you would like to support the show, you can join our Patreon and get ad-free episodes, early access, and exclusive bonus content, including the spin-off series The Deck of the Eternals, a Patreon exclusive to our Celtic Cross-Spread subscribers. Part 1 is out now. To find out more about our podcast, please visit us at www.it'sallinthecardspodcast.com, and be sure to check us out on Facebook at It's All in the Cards Podcast and Twitter at It's All in the Card. Links in the show notes. It's All in the Cards podcast may not be suitable for all listeners. Discretion is advised.